Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to a new episode of When You're Delusional, You're Gonna Be on TikTok. I do hope you're gonna enjoy the video, so let's just get into it.
A family member was screaming about toxic masculinity. They had heard the term on the news and were throwing it around. And I said, do you even know what that means? They did not. So in case you don't know, I'm going to tell you what that means. And I'm going to tell you what feminism means, since there seems to be a massive misunderstanding. Toxic masculinity is the part of masculine culture that says that men can't express their emotions, which often leads to mental illness and men unaliving themselves because expressing emotion is seen as being too feminine. Toxic masculinity oppresses men because it tells them that they can't be human and they can't have weakness. And then they end up lashing out in all sorts of toxic ways and experiencing all of these horrible after effects of not being allowed to be a human being. People say we have to get rid of toxic masculinity. They're not talking about getting rid of men, and they're not talking about getting rid of men's healthy masculinity. They're saying that they want to get rid of the expectation and pressure on men that is quite literally destroying them, that tells them that they're not allowed to be human, that they're not allowed to be vulnerable, and that they have to be macho all the time. It's literally killing them. Send our boys to war. They come home with PTSD to a culture that will not allow them to express it or work through it because there's too much of an expectation to be masculine. We treat our veterans like crap. Then we tell them they just need to toughen up when they are experiencing incredible trauma and PTSD from what they've been through. This is something that has to be dismantled. People also assume that all feminists are women, which they're not. They assume that all feminists are extremely liberal, which they're not. Feminism simply means equality of the sexes. We should get paid the same. We should be treated the same. We should be afforded the same rights. Feminists believe that women's rights are human rights, that women are human. That's all it means to be a feminist. If you want to argue about different topics within feminism, you can, but know that there are many different viewpoints within feminism, and feminists argue with each other all the time. Some women believe showing skin is bad. Some women believe that it's empowering. You may or may not agree with certain reproductive choices that other women make, but the point is that you respect their ability to make the choice. But even if you don't agree with that, I'm not going to say, well, you can't be a feminist, because we need as many allies as possible. They love to write off people and say, well, they're a Republican or they're a Democrat, so I can't be friends with them. I can't talk to them. They voted for this person. I'm never going to talk to them again. And I understand that that stuff gets really, really personal and really, really deep. But for me, I've learned a lot from people who don't vote the same that I do. I've learned a lot from people who would never call themselves feminists. I've learned a lot from people who don't believe in the same God that I believe in and don't worship the same way that I do. Some of my best friends have completely different views than I do, but that doesn't mean that we can't be friends. If you're cool and you're open to talk about it and understand, we don't have to agree.
Yeah, sure, so let me get this straight. We don't have to agree, but I need to be open to understand what you're telling me. And that pretty much means I need to agree with what you're saying. I need to take for granted what you're telling me. It doesn't work like that, and I'm not gonna listen to you because obviously you have no idea what you're talking about. It becomes even more dangerous when you're trying to teach people things when you have no clue what they mean. Toxic masculinity one-on-one? Well, let's take a look at what that means when it's defined by your sisterhood. Mental and physical toughness. So if you have a strong body, if you're working out, if you have a strong mind, if you have the ability to say no to whatever ideology is being pushed on you, if you have the ability to think for yourself, that is what you're defining as toxic. Being stoic is another one, and being self-sufficient is another one. So having the ability to provide for yourself, to put food on the table, to not rely on food stamps, for example, that's considered toxic. Let's take a look at some more examples. Strength, self-sufficiency, dominance, and virility. All that is considered toxic. Again, different example. Being tough, showing bravery, so brave is toxic these days, being competitive, and being in charge. You didn't even bother to do some research before you started teaching toxic masculinity one-on-one. And this is the reason why masculine men, not toxic masculine men, will never take you seriously, and they're just gonna laugh in your face.
Toxic masculinity does not exist. One way to conquer the world is to destroy masculinity in men. And they're succeeding by calling masculine men toxic and getting rid of a man's natural instincts. The word misogyny is being way overused by the media and by feminists to the point where even being the slightest bit masculine is called misogyny. And most of these women who are using the word misogyny don't even know what it means. And this is why men love guys like Andrew Tate. He's giving them a reason to be masculine again and saying it's okay to submit to your natural instincts as a man, while women are out here trying to take that power away from them.
Yeah, well, what do you know? Your hair is not blue, purple, red, green, or whatever weird colors, so why would I listen to you and not to the one from the first video? Just because you're smart, you're making sense, you have a few valid points, and you understand that the best way to divide and conquer is by destroying men? Yeah, I guess that's why.
You can't convince me that we're living in a patriarchy. We're living in a matriarchy. Women rule over men. Women have the privilege. Women are out here saying that it's more oppressive to stay home than go out and work. That it's a privilege for men to go out and work in oil rigs, go to war, work in the coal mines, but it's oppressive for women to stay home, look after the children, and clean the house. Please tell me who is more privileged here. Patriarchy's already been dismantled. We live in a matriarchy.
I don't necessarily agree with that last statement, but maybe there are some subtleties I am not picking up on. So maybe let me know what you guys think in the comments. I do believe that we're not there yet, but that is the direction we're being pushed on. And I do fear that whenever we're gonna reach that point, this world as we know it today is gonna end, and it's only gonna get a lot worse before it's gonna get better.
So I want toxic masculinity back. And now that you're triggered, hopefully you'll hear me out, because I have a good reason for it. You guys have seen me talk about passport bros, red pill, black pill. Now there's MGTOW, right? All these different groups are still a subdivision of the manosphere. And all it is about men having rights too, because as women, everything, including mainstream media, has been for us. And a part of that is women, we want men to be manly and do things and help around the house and pick us up on a date and make the reservation, open the door, be a gentleman. We want to have good sex. We want to do all these things. We want them, right? And meanwhile, passport bros have figured out a loophole. So they're going overseas and finding these women that are still traditional and allowing them to be manly men, right? And we watch them. I mean, I've seen women saying that they have $5. They don't. They make their money and they set themselves up so that they can go overseas and do it responsibly and that they can take care of the women over there and they eventually move over there. I just talked to one that's in Colombia and he has a traditional wife and it's the household respects him. He helps with everything. He protects, he provides. It's just, and there's too many stories like. So if we're already in tyranny, people are getting canceled left and right. I'm scared to say how I feel because I'm scared that people are going to break into my house and like do some crazy crap. And I'm currently like walking through that fear by expressing myself. What do you think our children are going to go through? Or our children's children? Or even further than that for that matter. I'm thinking long-term, ladies. I'm not thinking short-term of I want, I need, I feel. And again, I'm not signing up for the whole like do whatever you want to me. All I'm saying is I have met so many wonderful, phenomenal men that just want good and traditional and to be wanted and needed. But guess what? Women have such a hard time saying that and they need us too. We need each other. This is retarded. So I want toxic masculinity back because I don't feel safe. And the only someone that I can see protecting me and making me feel safe is a toxic ass man saying I'm gonna fuck shit up. I love you guys.
And I really do hope you get one, but I also hope you're gonna express yourself in a different manner. Because not everyone is gonna listen to you and understand that you want a man, a masculine man, not a toxic masculine man. I know these days we define masculinity as being toxic masculinity, but still. And it's funny you've mentioned our kids or our kids' kids, because they're gonna be the most affected by all this crap that is being pushed on them. Kids do need their father in their home. And unfortunately, most kids today are being raised by single mothers. And when they turn around and they're looking for a father figure or for a role model, they have none. The media you're also talking about in your video, that is also looking to destroy father figures and role models. All you have to do is look at the superheroes. And yes, I know it's funny, I know it's weird, but kids that used to be from broken homes or raised by single mothers used to look at the superheroes and they used to find role models in them. They no longer have that option, especially young boys, because they destroyed all the superheroes that they could have had the ability to look up to. They want to destroy Batman now because he's white and he's rich. And every superhero that could have been a father figure or a role model, they're a woman now. And I would be willing to bet everything I have or I don't have that if Dracula was a superhero, he would have been a she by now. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I've made this long enough, so I'm just gonna end it here. As always, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and I will see you in the next one.